The 28th of October 2017, Sebastian Vettel reveled in his rapid Q3 lap during qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix as he brought up his half-century of pole positions in Formula One. Ferrari driver Vettel trailed Red Bull's Max Verstappen after the first Q3 runs but turned the tables during the final efforts as he edged his rival by 0.086s, setting the quickest ever lap of the circuit. Vettel, 66 points behind title leader Lewis Hamilton, with 75 up for grabs over the final 3 races, vowed to attack in his attempt to prolong the title fight for an additional round. "It was quite a lap, I have to say. I'm really happy," beamed Vettel. "It's very difficult here, very slippery. It's difficult to get everything in one lap. I had a little bit of an advantage in the first sector. I managed to get that right, so I had a good start. Then I had a bit of a moment at turn 6, and I nearly lost it there. I had to go down to first gear, but I didn't lose any time. Then I knew in the last sector if I could just keep it clean and cross the line it should be enough, and it was." On his prospects for the race and the title, Vettel said, "Tomorrow we'll see. It's not as much in my control as I would like it to be, so it depends what Lewis is doing. For us, we'll go all out, we'll attack, and we'll see what we can do. We deserve a good result. Ferrari deserves a good result. Let's see what we can do tomorrow." Latest news 14/18. Andrea Dovizioso described his Malaysian Grand Prix weekend as perfect as he secured back-to-back Sepang wins, keeping his Moto 1336. Pierre Gasly admits he is heading into the Mexican Grand Prix with a lack of preparation off the back of a strange weekend in F1. 12:45 joined Ferrari once more as the team goes behind the scenes with Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen at the Autodromo Hermanos. F1. 11:52. Sebastian Vettel became only the 4th driver in Formula One history to record 50 pole positions, joining Lewis Hamilton. Michael, F1. 11:24. Sergio Perez says he hopes to give his fans something to celebrate in race trim after expressing disappointment with his F1. 10:48. Jorge Lorenzo says he was prepared to allow Ducati teammate Andrea Dovizioso through to victory at the Malaysian Grand Prix. Moto 10:14. Fernando Alonso believes McLaren had the best car during qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix, though is braced for a F1. 08:40. Franco Morbidelli has clinched the Moto2 title in Malaysia, with a round to spare, ahead of his Moto graduation in Moto 750, Moto 748, Moto 747. Andrea Dovizioso led a Ducati 12 to claim his 6th win of the campaign at a wet Malaysian Grand Prix, ensuring that the title. Moto 630, Moto 532. Singing, shocking and sombreros join Red Bull driver Max Verstappen for a special commute to Mexico City's Autodromo Hermanos. F1. 2140, F1. 2138, F1. 2137. Max Verstappen has escaped a penalty after the stewards accepted that he did not impede Valtteri Bottas during Mexican Grand F1. 2107. Valtteri Bottas says that Max Verstappen ruined his first Q3 lap during qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix, ahead of a F1. 2105. Red Bull's Daniel Ricciardo admitted he felt helpless during qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix as he struggled with tire. F1. 2046. Max Verstappen says he was super annoyed to miss out on pole position for the Mexican Grand Prix after being pipped by F1. 2046. Lewis Hamilton believes the start and the pit stop window will be the only opportunities for passing at the Mexican Grand Prix. F1. 2034. Sebastian Vettel reveled in his rapid Q3 lap during qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix as he brought up his half-century of F1. 2006. F1. 2004. Sebastian Vettel beat Max Verstappen to pole position in a thrilling conclusion to qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix at the F1. 1840, F1. 1704, F1. 1702. Max Verstappen set the pace during Saturday's final practice session for the Mexican Grand Prix, as a Red Bull, Mercedes, and F1. 1620. Pierre Gasly's Mexican Grand Prix prospects have been dealt a further setback due to an impending 10th-place grid penalty, which F1. 1545, F1. 1356. Andrea Dovizioso says he and Ducati can fight for victory in any weather conditions at the Malaysian Grand Prix, as he bids to Moto 1248. Red Bull Racing driver Daniel Ricciardo talks through his tweaked Mexican-themed helmet design for this weekend's event at the F1. 1202. Marc Marquez rued a crash on his opening qualifying lap at the Malaysian Grand Prix, as he set only the 7th best time. Moto 1134. Toro Rosso team principal Franz Tost says there is a high possibility that Pierre Gasly and Brendan Hartley will form the F1. 1012. Formula One sporting chief Ross Brawn says Liberty Media is receptive to the idea of changing the weekend timetable at events, as F1. 0924. Fernando Alonso says McLaren has to sacrifice its chances of a strong result at the Mexican Grand Prix in order to boost its F1 0806 Motopo 804 Repsol Honda's Dani Pedrosa claimed his third pole of the season during a closely contested qualifying session for the Malaysian Motopo 526. Lucas Di Grassi talks about life as a champion, after claiming the title in Formula's third season, and how he is approaching. FA002 Haas driver Kevin Magnussen will have to pass a medical checkup prior to Saturday's third practice session at the Mexican Grand F1 2302 F1 2252. Sebastian Vettel believes that a loose screw was to blame for his fire extinguisher going off during the second practice session. F1